The classroom was empty, bathed in the golden light of late afternoon. Papers rustled softly under my fingers as I graded assignments, the silence around me both comforting and unnerving. I had always loved teaching, but today, my focus kept slipping. He lingered by the doorway, waiting for me to notice him. Lucas, one of my senior students, not much older than 20, but carrying himself with a confidence that felt older, almost dangerous. His eyes met mine, and something in that gaze made my chest tighten. "I stayed after to ask about the essay," he said, his voice low, casual, but carrying a weight I couldn't ignore. I didn't understand the part about interpretation. I nodded, gesturing to the empty desk beside me. "Sit," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He moved closer, the air around him warm and oddly electric. I tried to focus on the papers in front of me, but his presence was a magnet I couldn't resist. His fingers brushed mine as he reached for his notebook, sending a jolt through me I wasn't prepared for. I feel like I could learn more if you explained it differently," he said, leaning over the desk. The proximity made it impossible to focus on the words on the page. I could feel his breath, subtle and warm, against my cheek. "You're not the only one learning today," I whispered, almost to myself, but I knew he heard it. His eyes darkened, and he gave the faintest nod, acknowledging the tension neither of us should have let exist. We worked in silence for a few minutes, his hand occasionally brushing mine as we reached for the same pen. Each touch lingered longer than necessary. My mind raced. This was wrong. A teacher and her student should never be alone like this, yet I couldn't deny the pull. "Do you understand it now?" I asked, keeping my voice light, professional, though my body betrayed me. Lucas leaned back slightly, just enough that our knees touched. He didn't apologize, didn't pull away. "I do," he said, voice low. I like when you explain things like this." The words sent a thrill through me I shouldn't have felt. I swallowed, trying to regain control, but the intensity of the room pressed in. I wanted to reach out, to stop the growing heat between us, but instead, I found myself leaning closer. "You're different when you pay attention," I said, trying to keep my tone casual, though every fiber of me was aware of him, of us. His gaze dropped briefly to my lips and back, daring me, tempting me. The tension broke when his hand brushed mine again, deliberate this time. My body hummed with an energy I hadn't felt in years. My heart pounded so loud I was sure he could hear it. "I shouldn't," I whispered, even as I leaned closer, drawn to him. "Neither should I," he admitted, his voice steady but low. "But we're here now." That was all it took. I closed the distance, letting my lips brush against his in a kiss that was soft at first, testing boundaries. But the hesitation quickly faded. My hands found his arms, and he held me as if he could feel the restraint in me, the longing I had kept buried. Minutes stretched like hours as the classroom faded away. Each touch, each whisper, each stolen glance became a universe where only we existed. I knew this was dangerous, forbidden, yet I had never felt more alive. When we finally pulled apart, the world returned abruptly. Papers, desks, and sunlight reminded us of reality. His gaze lingered on me, intense and unrepentant. "This doesn't have to end here," he murmured. "I know," I breathed. But the guilt, the fear of crossing lines, pressed against my chest. Yet, I couldn't deny it. The attraction, the intensity, the stolen connection, It was impossible to ignore. Even as he left the classroom, I knew one thing. This story was only beginning. The boundaries were clear, but desire had already broken them. The next day, the classroom felt different. Every corner, every desk, seemed to hum with the memory of yesterday. I tried to focus on grading papers, on lesson plans, but my mind kept drifting to Lucas, to the way his eyes had searched mine, daring me to acknowledge what had happened. He arrived just before the last bell, slipping into the empty room with a casualness that made my chest tighten. "I stayed after again," he said, leaning against the edge of the desk. There was a challenge in his tone, a promise that neither of us could ignore. "You don't have to," I said softly, though the words rang hollow. My body remembered every brush of his hand, every stolen second. He only smiled, stepping closer, the air around him charged. "This isn't just about the essay," he admitted, voice low, deliberate. "I can't stop thinking about yesterday." I swallowed hard, trying to ground myself, but I felt my knees weaken. "You shouldn't," I whispered. "It's wrong. We have to be careful." Lucas reached out, his fingers brushing mine again. "I know it's wrong," he said, eyes locking with mine. "But it feels right. Doesn't it?" It did. My pulse raced, my heart threatening to betray the careful composure I had tried to maintain. I nodded, almost imperceptibly, and he stepped closer, closing the last inch between us. The tension, unspoken and unbearable, finally had space to breathe. Our lips met again, slower this time, lingering, tasting, exploring without words. My hands found his shoulders, and he held me like he had never let go. The classroom faded, leaving only the heat between us, the stolen connection that neither rules nor reason could erase. Time became meaningless. Every brush of skin, every whispered word, every heartbeat against another became a language only we understood. For those moments, there was no teacher, no student, no consequences, only desire, alive and consuming. When we finally pulled apart, both of us breathless, reality crept back in. The late afternoon sunlight slanted across the room, reminding us of the boundaries we had crossed. "We can't do this," I whispered, guilt and longing warring in my chest. Lucas nodded, but there was a fire in his eyes. "Maybe not here," he said softly, "but somewhere. Someday. I can't forget this." I swallowed, torn between fear and longing. He was right. Something had been awakened in both of us, something impossible to deny. Even as he left the classroom, his gaze lingering, I knew this was a story that wasn't over. I remained at my desk, fingers brushing the edge of the notebook he had left behind, a trace of him lingering in the paper, in the air, in me. For the first time in years, I felt alive, electric, and painfully aware of the dangerous thrill we had discovered. Some lines shouldn't be crossed. Some connections shouldn't exist. But sometimes, desire finds a way, and when it does, there is no forgetting it. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, I realized that yesterday and today had changed everything. The question wasn't whether it was wrong. It was whether I could resist what I now knew I wanted, with a force I could no longer ignore. What would you do if you were caught between desire and responsibility? Could you resist, or would you give in? Comment below and share your thoughts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories of forbidden passion, temptation, and secrets you'll never forget.